therapeutic cloning offers the hope of understanding treatment and cures for millions and millions of people around the world.
Scientists say it's the greatest discovery of our lifetime, but the legal and moral debate rages on.
I think all human cloning should be banned. There's no difference morally between the two, whether it's reproductive or therapeutic. You're creating a human being and sacrificing it for scientific purposes.
As science progresses, is human cloning inevitable? After Dolly the sheep was cloned in 1996, many people feared human clones were just around the corner. Find out why we're not there yet, next on our special report.
Ordinarily, there's an oviduct that just covers what we call the fimbriae.
At 43, Liz Catalan knows she's running out of time to be a mom. She's been struggling with infertility since her wedding day.
I was going to have, 4, 5, 6 children. Both my husband and I thought that, but unfortunately, that didn't work out that way.
She says holidays with nieces and nephews are tough.
Sometimes, you'll sit in the corner and you'll be thinking, how about me? I don't have my child.
Fertility treatments have failed. She won't rule out adoption, but Liz still wants her own biological child, even if that means cloning. It's something that has not been done in humans yet.
If you try hard enough, all species will be able to be cloned.
Scientist Jose Sibeli says cloning uses the same technology for all species. Sheep, cows, pigs, even horses have been cloned. And in February of this year, scientists from South Korea cloned the first human embryo. They did not implant it in a woman, but they could have. Proof that scientifically, human cloning is possible. But based on animal research, it's a risky step.
If you want to make a clone cow, you have to transfer about 10 recipient cows with clone embryos in them to get one healthy animal on the ground.
But there are problems before you even get to that point. Sibeli estimates if scientists start with 100 cow eggs, 30 will die in the petri dish. Of those remaining 70, only about 15 total eggs could be transferred to 7 cows. 4 of those 7 cows might get pregnant. 2 fetuses would die early in the pregnancy. 1 would die just before birth. That leaves just 1 surviving clone. Of those few that make it, many will have underdeveloped lungs or immune system failure. All this has caused even the most forward-thinking scientists to question human cloning.
At the moment, it's completely unsafe, and whoever wants to attempt it is a criminal and should be penalized.
But animal cloning is progressing. At the Audubon Nature Institute, Dr. Betsy Dresser cloned these African wildcats, the first in the world.
My personal hope for cloning is that it becomes one of the tools that we can call on when we have a species that drops so low in number.
Surgeons here are extracting eggs from a house cat. They'll remove the DNA and inject cells from a wildcat into those empty eggs, which are reimplanted into the house cat. 9 weeks later, a wildcat clone is born.
There you go.
As the research moves forward, the failure rate is likely to decrease. If that happens, human cloning may gain more support.
In the future, if we can guarantee that this is safe, I will have to rethink my view on it. But it will take a long, long time to make this safe.
It's that small chance that Liz is holding on to.
I will wait as long as I have to.
And as with most scientific breakthroughs, time is often all it takes. This is Jennifer Matthews reporting. There's a legal battle raging on Capitol Hill, and it will have a major impact on millions of Americans. Find out why some politicians are trying to criminalize therapeutic cloning next on our special report.
Some autofluorescence, but some what you just showed me is not autofluorescence.
And it says over again,
Autofluorescence.
over the cells.
Uh-huh.
So
When Kevin Hoagland was 18, a wrestling match with his brother changed life as he knew it.
I felt the wrong way, and in an instant, I knew something was wrong.
For nearly 30 years, Kevin has been waiting for science to move forward.
My ultimate wish is that, whatever cure they find will, alleviate any of this paralysis from ever happening, or if it does, it's real short term.
Scientists say therapeutic cloning could be the answer. It could reverse paralysis and help many other people with diseases like Parkinson's and diabetes. The research has stirred great hope and great controversy. Congressman Mike Castle, a Republican from Delaware, supports the research.
There are a number of Republicans who are opposed to the policy which I am advocating here.
Lawmakers are entangled in the debate surrounding therapeutic cloning, which uses cloned embryos to produce stem cells that could generate healthy cells, tissues, and organs. On August 9, 2001, President Bush announced the government would not fund any stem cell lines created after that day.
The NIH is probably the most powerful engine for scientific research the world has ever known. And for us not to be able to fully utilize federal funding for this research in its infancy really is a setback.
Bernard Siegel, executive director of the Genetics Policy Institute, is leading the way to keep the research going.
We have to listen to our scientists, listen to our physicians, and by all means listen to the millions of people that are suffering with diseases.
A federal bill recently passed in the House to ban all cloning, but the Senate has delayed voting on it. Only 10 states have any laws on cloning. Arkansas, Iowa, Michigan, and North and South Dakota have banned it. Michigan's law carries a $10 million fine and up to 10 years in prison for any scientist who violates it. Castle is pushing to change federal law.
I want to see American medical research resources put into this as soon as possible.
That's already happened in 2 states. New Jersey approved $50 million, and California is considering more than $3 billion for research on therapeutic cloning.
Human cloning issues in all its aspects.
This is not just an American issue, it's global. Last year, Siegel led a grassroots effort to defend therapeutic cloning in the United Nations. He was successful. He saved the potential ban by a single vote.
And I would argue
they'll vote again this fall.
Eventually this science will advance. I think the question is how many millions of lives might we lose? How much suffering will take place before we find the benefits, the true benefits of this research?
That's the question all politicians will have to ask themselves, and so will each of us. This is Jennifer Matthews reporting. Some say all cloning should be permanently banned. Others say it holds great promise for many diseases and even infertility. Find out what the moral dilemma is next on our special report.
Mama, come here.
Liz Catalan has almost everything she's ever dreamed of.
I have my husband, I have a good job, I have my dogs, I have my friends, but there's still that little bit missing. And it's always there.
After years of struggling with infertility, Liz's time for having kids is running out.
We're all, as women, we're born with that maternal instinct. So and unless you're in the same shoes, you don't know how it feels.
Liz learned about reproductive cloning in her own online research. By extracting the DNA from an unfertilized egg, scientists can potentially put Liz's own cells into that egg, implant it, and create a child genetically identical to herself. That's exactly how Dolly the sheep was cloned in 1996.
I've never had reservations, no matter how much I read about it, about cloning.
But many people do have reservations. Dr. David Stevens, head of the Christian Medical Association, is vehemently opposed to it.
I think all human cloning should be banned. And there's no difference morally between the two, whether it's reproductive or therapeutic. You're creating a human being and sacrificing it for scientific purposes.
Although most scientists agree reproductive cloning should be banned, many say therapeutic cloning is entirely different. Daniel Perry heads up the Coalition for the Advancement of Medical Research.
We think they should ban reproductive cloning, creating a baby, but stem cells don't create babies. Therapeutic cloning creates stem cells, not babies.
Those stem cells could potentially save millions of lives. But Dr. Stevens says even those few cells should not be sacrificed.
Good ends do not justify bad means. And I think we cannot destroy human life to save human life.
Under President Bush, federal money cannot be used for embryonic stem cell lines created after August 2001.
That's a consequence of a policy that is too restrictive, too heavy-handed, and has sidelined American scientists in one of the most promising areas of medical research.
Professor Bonnie Steinbach supports that research, but says we shouldn't be so quick to stop reproductive cloning either.
The interesting question, I think, both philosophically and bioethically, is what if it could be made safe?
She believes cloning could eventually be as accepted as in vitro fertilization.
That's not clear to me that it is that different, to the point that we would have to say, no, we could never do that. There must be an universal, absolute, forever ban on it. Why?
That's the same question Liz is asking. She was raised a Catholic, but doesn't think twice about the possibility of cloning.
I definitely think my God would be hand in hand with me, walking down that, road with me.
Steinbach says we should keep our minds and the future open.
Not so long ago, people shuddered at interracial marriage. Some people shudder at the thought of gay marriage. I don't shudder at either of those, and I'm not sure I shudder at cloning either.
Whether you agree with Steinbach or not, this ethical debate is far from over. This is Jennifer Matthews reporting.